Hey guys, it's Coach Martinez, a PE teacher at Lively Elementary in Irving ISD. We are talking this week about balance. There's a lot of different ways that we balance each and every day, and sometimes you don't even realize it because you're so used to it. Every day when you walk around, you're actually balancing. Now we're going to look at that and some other skills that go along with it. There's two main components when we're talking about balancing that you need to understand. One is base of support. Two is center of gravity. That's what we're going to look at today. But first, let's check out the teaks to see what we're supposed to know and understand. On our teaks card, it says you guys should demonstrate, that means to show, a base of support, we'll look at it in a second, and explain how it affects balance. So not just show it, you have to also explain how it affects your balance. So we'll look at both of those words here in just a moment. Also, some teaks say that you should demonstrate balance, so show your balance in symmetrical and non-symmetrical shapes from different base of support. So symmetrical means it's the same on both sides. It's even, it's balanced. Sometimes we have to balance in body positions that are uneven or unbalanced. That means that they look different from one side to the other. That's called asymmetrical or not symmetrical. And they use this word base of support. So let's check that out. Your base of support, or sometimes they just shorten it to BOS, base of support, is basically whatever's at the bottom of the object or item, or if it's me standing, supporting. So right now, I'm standing up, I'm using my feet to support me, to hold me up. So my base of support is my 2 feet under me. Your base of support is whatever's at the bottom supporting or holding the item up. What is like touching or in contact with the ground or the bottom. So like for instance, if I had a marker and I put it on the ground or a table, it's whatever's at the bottom, the base, bottom, that's holding it up, that's supporting. Okay, so it'd be this circle area that's supporting because that's what it's holding up on. Now, let's look at the word center of gravity. We'll play with the base of support here in just a second. Your center of gravity, or sometimes it's shortened to COG, your center of gravity is whatever's in the middle of the object or item, or if it's your body, whatever's in the exact middle. And then you guys know the word gravity. Gravity is the what? Force that pulls you down to the earth or holds you down to the ground so we're not floating around. So your center of gravity is the exact middle. If you take the object and you measure from the right side to the left side and find the middle, if you measure from the top to the bottom and find the middle, and if you measure from the front to the back and find the middle, that exact one spot that's in the middle of all of those places, that is called your center of gravity. Now, as your body moves or the object or item moves, that center of gravity also moves, because if I stand and then put my hands here, now I'm shorter, so whatever from the top to the bottom, perfect middle, right to left, perfect middle, and then front to back, perfect middle, that's where my center of gravity, it would be like inside of my stomach. But if I'm standing straight and tall, I'd lengthen it up so it might move around a little. If I was standing straight and tall, and I measured from my right side to my left side and found the center, then I measured from the top to the bottom and found the center, and I measured from the front of myself to the back of myself and found the center, that would be my center of gravity. I'm going to use a string to kind of help measure this so you'll see. For me, it's about where my belly button is, if I were to take all of those measurements. So think about when you're standing up regular, nice, straight and tall, then it's about where your belly button is. Depending on how tall you are, it might be a little higher or a little lower. So I'm going to use this string to help represent. I'm going to put it on my center of gravity, and it might be a little hard to see, but this long string goes straight down to the ground, and it's inside of my base of support. If my center of gravity goes outside of my base of support, if I take that point in my body and move it outside the base of support, what would happen? Yeah, I would fall over. Let me show you visually what that looks like. Take a look down here. All right. So, my base of support is whatever is under me, holding me up. Even if it's just 1 foot. So if I'm trying to balance on 1 foot, that's what's under me, supporting me, holding me up. Now, I want you to be able to see me too, so let's raise it up a little. There we go. So your base of support, like I was saying, is whatever is under you. So if I'm going to balance on one foot, that's what's supporting me. So I'm going to draw a circle around my base of support right now. Circle around this foot. And that is the area or the space that is holding me up. Okay? Just 1 foot. And that's the only area. It's called the base of support. So I'm going to write base of support. Okay? Now, I have to keep my center of gravity inside of my base of support. So if I take that string from my belly button and go straight down, it should be inside of that circle that I drew on the ground. If it goes outside of the circle that I drew on the ground, then I would fall over. So I put it on my belly button, and then I drop it down low, and yes, it's still inside of the base of support. Let's say I just stand regular, 2 feet, regular base of support. So what is holding me up? What's my base of support? This foot, and now I have this other foot. So let me draw a circle around that one. And now, all the area between those two, if I draw a big circle from this shoe all the way around this shoe, that whole space inside of there is now my base of support. So let me show you. All of that space is the area that's under me, holding me up. Now, as I have my center of gravity, the center of gravity little dot has to stay inside of this space, okay? It can move because I can go right and left and it can shift around, but if it ever goes outside, like over here, the base of support, I would fall over. Let me show you what that looks like. So have this image in your head or your mind. You can even pretend to draw it on the ground where you are. So all of that area under me is called my base of support. Now, let me show you my center of gravity. If I put this right at my exact center of gravity spot, I can move right, I can shift to the left, I can go down and up, I can lean forward and back. But as long as my center of gravity stays somewhere in that colored space that I showed you, then I'm good, I'm standing. But if I take that center of gravity and I lean outside of the base of support, yep, I fall over because I took the center of gravity outside what it was holding up. That's a little bit what we're talking about. Now, different sports or activities or situations that you're in, you may need to widen your base of support, or sometimes you need to shorten, or it's called narrow your base of support. Depends on what situation you're in, what sport you're doing, or what activity you're involved in as to why or what you would need to do. So, we're gonna look at that part now. Now I have a dark, actually, you know what, let me use this side of the paper to help us out here, right? So sometimes we need a big, wide base of support. Can you think of an activity when you need a wide base of support? When would we get like real big and wide? Sometimes people even shorten or bring their center of gravity closer to the ground. There might be sports like football. They even get a hand way out here so they have a really big, wide space of support. Things like baseball or golf or hockey, they open their feet up like this to swing or to get the batting like this. You don't want your feet close together because then you would swing and then you go, whoa! You would fall over because your center of gravity would go outside of the base of support. So they widen their base of support so when they swing, their center of gravity stays inside of that space, right? Same thing like, let's say, volleyball. You have your knees bent, your arms out so you can move and pass and bump the ball. If your feet were close together and you had a small base of support, you would go to bump the ball, whoop, and your center of gravity would go outside of your base of support. Think about sports where you use an activity where you would use a small base of support. Maybe 1 foot, that's small. Think about even smaller than that. Could you go up on your toe? Yeah, I can't even balance to hold it to show you. Ooh, some people are really good, like ballerinas. They go up on their tippy toe. I don't even think I could show you, but I can draw it. So if I was a ballerina on my one tippy toe, I'm gonna circle my tippy toe. There it is. And it has just a tiny little baby space. That's a ballerina base of support. Now, she only has a small little area to work with. Only a small little area to keep her center of gravity inside of just that small space. Otherwise, she would fall over. That's kind of how that sport or activity works, because they're showing how great balance they have, whether they're dancing, like gymnastics has it as well, or things like ballet or other types of forms of dances. It's where they're showing, hey, I have great balance and great control. Coach Martinez doesn't quite have the ballerina skills yet, but I'm getting there. Some sports, you don't want to be knocked over. You don't want to be pushed over. So like we were saying, football, they get real deep, real wide, get their hand out, kind of get low to the ground because they lower their center of gravity. Because in football, somebody's gonna try to push them over, and they don't want to be pushed over. So you have to lower your base of support, lower your center of gravity, widen your base of support so that you don't get knocked over. If someone were to come and try to push me, I'd barely even move. And I have a lot of space here, a lot of base of support to move my center of gravity inside. So I know it's a little tricky concept, but now that you've heard that explanation, would you be able to explain how it affects balance? How does your base of support affect your balance? Think about that. My base of support is the area that is under me, holding me up. How does that affect my balance? Well, I have to keep my center of gravity inside of my base of support, and I can move it all around inside the base of support. But if the center of gravity goes where? Outside or off of the base of support, then I would fall over, and I obviously wouldn't be balanced anymore. So it says demonstrate it, so show it, as well as this week you're learning to explain how. How does that work? How does your base of support, the area that's under you supporting you, affect your balance? You guys are going to be working hard this week on a lot of different types of balancing by yourself, and then sometimes we can balance on things. We can get on in the balance and get off. Make sure you're staying safe, working hard, and let's work on our balance this week.